What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at an article that makes the complaint that there wasn't any females represented in the Fortnite World Cup. Now, I didn't necessarily figure this was a big deal because, generally speaking, when I watch really anything, I don't sit around and, obsess over the gender of things and care about stuff like that, but there are people who sit around and worry about that kind of stuff for whatever reason. They'll turn on sports and they sit there and they worry and obsess over the gender of whoever's playing. For whatever reason, they turned on the World Cup and they got mad because everybody who played was a guy. And likewise, there's people who turned on the Women's World Cup in soccer and they got mad because it was, women who were winning. I mean, stuff happens, man. People are weird like that, but I don't really understand it. People they care too much about stuff that I figure really doesn't matter in the long run. I feel like this article makes a much bigger deal out of nothing than it should be, and it's really kind of beating on the same dead horse, because women not being in this whole thing really is not that big of a deal when you look at it, because there's plenty of reasons why there were no women in the Fortnite World Cup, and it wasn't because women were banned from playing in the World Cup or anything like that. There was no rule against women playing in it or anything. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get into that. Of course, there are going to be people who decide not to watch the video and they're just going to be, freaking out about it. But despite the growing popularity of professional gaming throughout the world, the audience figures for competitive gaming have reached 450 million this year. Female competitors remain scarce. There certainly are high-profile examples of female pros. Trans woman Sasha Scarlett Hostin is one of the most successful StarCraft 2 players in the world. Catherine Mystic Gunn is the industry's highest paid female pro gamer and won the Sci-Fi Channel's reality TV show WCG Ultimate Gamer, and Fortnite has stars such as One Shot Girl and Loya. But you could watch a year of big tournaments, I should say, whether it's Call of Duty, League of Legends, or Hearthstone, and count the number of female competitors on the fingers of one hand. Well, I'm pretty big into CWL. I don't think there are any female competitors, and this isn't because women and girls aren't playing games. The latest figures from the Entertainment Software Association show that 46% of gamers are women, a figure reflected in several other recent studies. The female audience for esports is also growing. Figures collected by Nielsen suggest that almost a quarter of the pro gaming audience is female, and in some parts of the world it's much higher. So why aren't we seeing that reflected in the Fortnite World Cup? The easy answer is because no women qualified. The heats were entirely open and held online over 10 weeks. More than 40 million players competed with no restrictions on age or gender. The pro gaming scene likes to present itself as a meritocracy where pure talent is all that matters. So you openly answered your own question right there. I mean, you presented it as an easy answer and tried to pretend like that wasn't actually the answer, but that quite literally was the answer. Out of the 40 million people who competed, only 100 people qualified. I'm gonna do some math really quickly here. So 40 million, all right? When you divide 100 by that, that means only 0.0000025% of people who even tried to qualify for the World Cup ever made it. That was your odds, basically, of qualifying for the Fortnite World Cup if you tried. So the unfortunate truth is that it just so happened that out of the 100 people, they just happened to be guys. Now, of course, this article likes to present it as if like that's not how that's supposed to shake down, but I'm gonna show you guys something here, because there's like this constant complaint that like not enough women are being represented in esports, and that might be true to some extent in some esports. I'm not a know-it-all in esports. Maybe there are some games and stuff where, women do own the majority or whatnot of player base. But I mean, in games like this, that just simply isn't the case. When you look at the data and you see what women are primarily playing, and when you see what they like to do, they say how much percentage, of what total gamers that women are. Like this article right here, it said that 46% of gamers are women. It loves to say stuff like that, and it shows these Nielsen figures and whatnot, but it'll never show statistics like what I'm about to show you, because they never bring legitimacy to this argument. They cherry pick these statistics so hard. Anyways, look at this, okay? You'll see that women, okay, primarily are playing games like Match 3s, family and farm sims, casual puzzle games, atmospheric exploration games, interactive dramas, games like that, okay? Now look at the games that women make up the lowest percentage of players in, aka games that men make up the most player base in. Sports games, tactical shooters, racing games, first-person shooters, strategy games, MOBAs. Now think about those two things. Put those into perspective. Women dominate games like match 3s, farm sims, puzzle games, okay? Now men, we dominate games like sports games, shooter games, strategy games, and MOBAs. Now let's just think of some of the most popular esports out there, okay? CSGO, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, Overwatch, League of Legends, Dota, Rocket League, Madden 2K, Hearthstone, StarCraft, Smash, any of those games, do they sound like match 3s or farm sims to you? So when you look at that and you see that men in pretty much all of these game types, where almost all of these games fit into them, we make up 95% or more of the player base total in all of these genres of games, why are you surprised that esports are essentially the exact same way? So with that being said, why would women ever, control like a big chunk of the esports player base? And another thing that I really find funny, and this is something that this journalist doesn't seem to understand, is that these people who qualified are established names. These aren't people that nobody doesn't have any idea. People like, Mega, Dubs, King, Psalm, Clicks, Creo, Epic Whale, Crew, like all these guys, right? All these people, these are all like established names. These are people who have been extremely good at the game for a long time, who have been like well known in the community for a long time. These are people who, a lot of them are like under very well known brands and stuff like FaZe, 100 Thieves. A lot of these people are on like big teams and organizations and stuff. It's not like a lot of these people are just coming off of, just random places and aren't coming from teams and stuff. I mean, these aren't just random people. These are the best players in the world, most of which we all kind of expected to qualify in the first place. There's still a bunch of other people that like we could have thought would have like qualified and stuff too that didn't qualify, but I mean, Fortnite literally had one of the most open chances for people to ever qualify that I think any tournament has ever really had. To try and make it out like the fact that all these people were men and try and make this a sexist thing is just absolutely ridiculous. And it's really just trying to reach into a non-issue, considering that these are the most talented Fortnite players in the world, and just because they're men doesn't really mean anything. And the only people that it really means anything to are the actual sexist people who can't get gender out of their head for 37 seconds and who can't stop thinking about gender for long enough to just watch a video game tournament without thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a children's video game at the end of the day, and this was supposed to be an entertainment thing. It wasn't something that we really needed to interject all this crap into, but of course, people had to find something to complain about with it, so. One solution has been to set up female-only leagues and competitions, allowing young women players a less toxic environment into which to hone their skills and to compete. However, this has proved controversial, with some seeing sex-based partitioning as means of sidelining and undervaluing women players. Unlike in traditional sports, there are no physical differences to play to justify gender segregation. I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't care. Like, if you want to make women's leagues and stuff for them to play in, I don't really care. My whole thing is if you're going to do that, don't expect for them to play in the leagues that men are playing in if they want to have their own leagues. But my whole thing is if you think women are good enough to play in the leagues with men, why do they need to have their own specific leagues with women? And I understand that a lot of women esports players have gotten a lot of very unnecessary stuff, and this actually does cite a Super Smash Bros. Player, a 15-year-old girl who entered a tournament in New York by the name, I think, of Bochi, I think it is, who basically left the tournament circuit as far as I understand because she, I guess, beat a top pro player, and the fans basically like harassed her so bad that she just gave up or something. I don't really understand too much of that whole thing, but I mean, people are really ridiculous online. There are terrible people online who, they're just garbage human beings, and this is what they do. And yes, they will target women specifically. I mean, let's be honest about it, it's true. There is no doubt in my mind that female esports players probably do get very specific harassment and targeting just because they're women, And it is unnecessary and I don't agree with it, but they want so badly to try and like force women into these leagues and stuff where, the very vast majority of people playing are all men, but then at the same time they're talking about they want to have all these female-only leagues because they don't want to deal with the toxic environments and stuff. You're either good enough to play alongside the men, and that's just how it is, or you just go and make your own leagues. That's the way that I see it personally. I don't see a big deal with either. If a woman's good enough to play with men, I don't see a big deal with it personally, but where I do see a big deal with it is when we're purposely interjecting and putting people into positions where they don't belong when they're not good enough to be there simply to make a group of people happy, when they're not qualified to be there and we're taking opportunities away from people who are actually good enough to be there and who deserve that position more, just because of whether or not they have balls dangling between themselves. You know, that it's ridiculous, but esports fans need to act better. And, you know, articles like this need to stop. They have no idea that, you know, 95% of people playing first-person shooters are all men. And they want to say, I wonder why there's no women playing in CWL. Well, yeah, that's, you know, bound to happen when there's only 4% of women playing Call of Duty. And I'm sure when you go into the competitive playlists, it's probably even slanted less in their favor when it comes to the player counts. You know, it's probably like 98% men. Anyways, that's my opinion on this whole thing. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on my channel. Follow me over on Twitter at @SubToptimus. I post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. It's a surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things going on down there as well. Thank you to my channel members for your, I shouldn't say $5 anymore. There's so many different tiers now, but your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus. I guess, you know, just not being good enough at esports to play, so I should probably complain about that, but signing out.